Good morning.
Good morning.
Have you ever heard of a term called founder entrapment?
Yes.
It's not in the news, but you have all seen it. It's a founder who can't step back, who can't take a vacation, and who cannot sell. What they're building owns them instead of the other way around. Today, I want to share with you a story of a man. I'm going to call him Peter. So Peter is a brilliant man. In fact, his teacher in elementary school said, "Peter, do something great with your life. Promise me." He promised, and he carried the weight of that. His first company had already gone under because he brought in somebody to be the leader of the company because he saw himself as the CTO, Chief Technology Officer, rather than CEO. So he brought in a CEO, was supposed to bring in funding. Next thing you know, they have a conflict, and Peter gets pushed out of his own company. Can you imagine that? And that's got to be one of the dumbest things they could have done, because soon after that, the company folded because they could not be in business without Peter. And here he was in his second rodeo. And what he was doing was he founded a company that develops very innovative software for governments. Now try hiring a software developer who knows both innovative software development and that domain. It simply doesn't exist, as you can imagine. But Peter had that knowledge in his mind. What I saw was, when I was referred to Peter in his second company, was that he was about to make that mistake again. And he had brought in somebody as they were looking for money, talking to investors to share the vision. And would you know it, that every time that person told the vision, he tried to guess, what does this investor want to hear? And he would tell that vision. And then that vision, that vision. I said, that doesn't work. You need to be the CEO. You need to be the face. You are the visionary. There was only one problem. He was already overworked as CTO, never mind adding the role of CEO, and there was nobody he could offload anything to as the CTO. So clearly, we had to get things out of his head and make it teachable to other people. There are three problems, retching problems, that come from one person knowing things that other people don't know. The first is you run out of time, bandwidth. So you become a bottleneck. The second is, let's say if Peter teaches Carlos over here how to do some of the things he knows, and then Carlos decides I can get a better job somewhere, or he has to move back to Ecuador, suddenly Peter starts back from scratch. That's the middle option. And then the last one is the founder. Did you know that over 70% of the time, businesses shut down when the founder either decides to or has to lean out of their business? Over 70% of the time. So we knew that something had to change. Peter had to be the CEO, but we had to get things out of his brain. And you know, Peter was like many people in the sense that he had forgotten how much he knows. When he would teach, say, Kenny over here, he would try to teach him how he makes decisions, but the problem is he would say, I just know. Well, how do you teach? I just know. You can't. So we had to dig deeper. And the good news is that with brilliance mining, which is actually described in the field manual that I gifted you, I hope you will enjoy it. In there, I describe how brilliance mining works, but in essence, what I want you to know right now is that you can capture instinctive knowledge, which I call brilliance. So the parts that the person doesn't even remember they have. If it can be done, it can be captured, and then with that, it can actually be scaled and can be turned into lasting success. However, there's another problem. And that problem is that you can build beautiful systems and still have people not use them. So what you need is you actually need 4 components all together. And the one I want to highlight to you right now is culture. You need to build culture in your system, a culture of trust and psychological safety, where people buy into the idea of sharing knowledge and using knowledge systems. See, because we built an entire academy of courses out of what was in Peter's brain. We built educational tracks for each role in that company. But we had to get people to actually use it. See, the old model is knowledge is trapped, the person is overwhelmed, they're irreplaceable. And as flattering as that is, as I said, there's 3 big problems with that. The new model is that you're freed up, you're scalable, and you're sellable. And more importantly, you can fulfill that dream to do something great. So culture makes systems stick. And as much as I talked in the past about just brilliance mining, I realized, and this is really why I wrote the book, is we have to talk and think about culture on the same playing level as the brilliance systems themselves. You cannot systematize what your culture doesn't support. So why is the brilliance revolution important? It's because everyone will eventually leave, even you. Today, Peter's company is in the process of being acquired, and he fulfilled his dream. Think about what you can do in your life. Where is knowledge trapped in you? And the field manual is yours to have. So if you know of a founder or someone who has this problem, please let me know. Thank you.